Hello and welcome to the Old Man Orange Podcast. I'm Spencer Scott Holmes.
And I'm Dave Candido.
And we've decided that, we need to go back in time and revisit something that's so classic, so fun, so nostalgic, and then gives you all sorts of good feelings inside, is the old Mortal Kombat 9. You know, it's also just called Mortal Kombat itself, but like I call it 9 because it's the 9th major one, and I got the little complete edition right here on Xbox 360. And this is one of those ones that they brought it back out, and they kind of did, in a sense, a reboot / remake. And it was one of those ones where it was the right time for that. You know, Mortal Kombat was kind of there, and don't get me wrong, like I like the Deadly Alliance and Armageddon, and what was the other one?
Deception.
Deception.
In the middle.
Yeah, there was Deception, and they were fun. They were way different, though, because I remember when I first played those games, I was like, oh, take all you know about Mortal Kombat 1, 2, 3, and 4 and throw it out, because it's like they changed all the controls around and everything like that. It was almost like you're playing a brand new game, and if you go into it like that, it's kind of fine, but if you try to remember all your moves from MK2 and 3, forget about it.
That was the Deadly Alliance through Armageddon was known as the 3D era. Mm-hmm. Which is funny because Shaolin Monks was 3D, number 4 and Gold were 3D, but not the same games, like style of game though.
Yeah, well, they didn't move in 3D because Mortal Kombat 4 has 3D graphics, but it still plays in a 2D plane.
Yeah.
You know, and then with Shaolin Monks and everything are kind of spin-offs, and just like
I never even played Shaolin Monks.
I never got to play that one either. I of course, played Sub-Zero back in the day. I had that on N64, and that one was always fun and challenging. I don't know about as fun's the right word. It was very challenging.
Yeah, exactly. I played that once when I was a kid, and it was like I rented from like Hollywood Video or something. And I remember getting home, and I was thinking it was so cool, and I played for like 20 minutes, and I didn't. That was it. 2 days later, I brought that game back, and I felt like an idiot. You know, felt like I was cheated. Later on, though, in life, as in like I don't know, a month or two ago, I was watching through the gameplay of that game and seeing that there was actually like cinematic cutscenes and everything, and I was like, "What? Man, I wish I would have tried a little harder." Yeah.
I think there's probably cinematic cutscenes on the PlayStation version because I only played the 64 one. I don't think the 64 one did. It probably just had that thing where it had still images with some text and so on. That was very mostly N64-ish. Maybe there was. There could have been a few.
Like it goes in depth on like the history between them and Scorpion and the Grandmaster of the Lin Kuei. He's a total douche, and the Quan Chi's in it. He's a total butthole. What was he? There was one of the characters. I think it was Nitara, or now I'm upset that I don't remember. But it was another Mortal Kombat female character. I think from the Netherrealm, and Sub-Zero, the Sub-Zero of the game, Bihan, was like. He fought her, and then they like didn't fall in love, but it's like cheesy kind of action movie, like now we're together, babe, you know. And then she ends up dying, and he's like, no, and then because she was gonna go back to the Earth realm with him and whatever. But it's like there was a little more more to that game, and I was like, man, I thought this was just a really hard game that was a spinoff. But there's a little story in there. It's kind of like the scenes were reminiscent to me of like the original Warhawk. With those action sequences that had like actors.
Yeah, the FMVs and all that stuff. Yeah. Well, that makes kind of more sense, too, because it's like that a lot of that lore kind of comes straight out of that Sub-Zero Mythologies game. Yeah, you know. But yeah, it's like, they had that one. Then there's also that other one that was on PlayStation. It was like...
Special Forces.
Yeah, Special Forces. That's that one, too. And I never got to play that one. I remember seeing it in the stores all the time, being like, one of these days I'll pick that up, and then I just never did.
It's like the game sucks. The graphics are terrible. It doesn't look like Mortal Kombat. The only thing that did, I think, for the franchise that was something worth something was introduce Tremor, the Ninja Tremor, that is a DLC character for 10. And that's it. And he really had no like purpose in that game either, other than just being a henchman. And
That's it.
He's much cooler in 10 than he was in Special Forces.
Yeah. Well, I think he's also in Mortal Kombat Armageddon as well too, because that one had like everybody.
Oh, maybe.
In it.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, because that's what makes that Mortal Kombat Armageddon kind of a cool one. Is it's got like I don't know, like 74 characters in it or something
It's
like
got
that.
every Mortal Kombat character that there's been prior to the NetherRealm series.
Because that's like one of those games, and it's weird because by the time that game came out, it was almost like Mortal Kombat kind of lost a little bit of its popularity. And that was just a time period where there was a lot of big games from like the 90s that were just not, they were there, but people didn't like, you know, they didn't really go out of their way for them. They weren't the top tier games anymore. It's kind of the same thing that happened to Tomb Raider and everything like that too. It went from being a top tier game to being kind of like a B or a C list one, and that was kind of how Mortal Kombat was for a moment there. Not that those games are bad, but like because that's the thing is Armageddon I think is really good, but it's kind of like an underrated Mortal Kombat game.
I enjoyed it. I loved how there's a million characters, and sorry, I'm laughing at my cats. They decided right behind my computer's a perfect place to clean each other.
Yeah, perfect.
But what I liked about Armageddon was, for one, I've always loved fighting games, even though I've always been terrible at them. I think Tekken 3 is the only fighting game I ever excelled at. But that and Mortal Kombat versus DC Universe. It's an interesting one there too. But no, the original Mortal Kombats, I sucked, but I always loved them. Like Mortal Kombat 2, I actually played before Mortal Kombat. And I didn't realize when I was a kid that it was actually Mortal Kombat 2. I thought it was just Mortal Kombat. I didn't know what Roman numerals were. I thought there was just a weird square in the background, you know?
Yeah, how am I supposed to know what this is? California public education system here, damn it.
Yeah. So, I mean, like, you know, Scorpion, Reptile, Sub-Zero, Liu Kang, what's his name? Shang Tsung, Sonya Blade, Melina, Kitana, Kano. You know, like, those were the OGs that I knew. And when I actually played the first Mortal Kombat, I was like, what is this crap? I'm like, the characters are slower. There's less characters. Like, what the hell is this? And then I'm like, oh, that's the first one. Okay. I played that one on Sega Genesis.
Yeah.
But, or the Mega Drive, you know. But
if you're in Europe and
anywhere else.
That's okay. Genesis is where it's at. I think that's a better name. I'm just going to state that right here and there. That I think Genesis sounds more interesting than Mega Drive. Mega Drive sounds like that's the knockoff version. That sounds like that's what like the Chinese
it's like Mega Man's car.
Yeah. You can put that in Drive. No, I'm putting it in Mega Drive.
Exactly.
You know, there's Overdrive, then there's Mega Drive.
Yeah. Well, yeah. No. Anyway, what do you call it? So Mortal Kombat, fast forward to Armageddon, I thought was awesome because, there we go, it was all those characters that I didn't get a chance to play in other games. Like, I skipped a ton of them. After Mortal Kombat 3 Trilogy, which I rented, another one I rented from Hollywood Video. It might have been Blockbuster, actually. Either way. It's not like it makes a difference. Two companies that don't exist anymore. But I saw that one and I'm like, what? And I thought it was so cool having the cyborgs.
Yeah,
they creeped me out when I was a kid. I was like, what is this? This is kind of scary. And of course, I sucked again. I sucked really hard. I played a few matches and then 2 days later I brought that game back. But from there, I didn't play any Mortal Kombats until Mortal Kombat Armageddon. It was when I had purchased, I think it was a Walmart deal. It was like $20 or something for Deception, the Deadly Alliance, Deception, and Armageddon, like 3-pack.
Oh, and, cool.
And the first one I played was Armageddon. And it was awesome because I think starting with Deception, actually, they started implementing like other game modes, like mini games. Like there was a little Mortal Kombat racing, like kind of silly game.
Mario Kart 1. Yeah. And then they had on one of them, I believe it might have been the Deadly Alliance Special Edition, they had the puzzle fighter, but it was Mortal Kombat version, which was pretty badass.
And then and then the story mode that they implemented. I think that might have been started with Shaolin Monks. I don't know. I never tried that one. But Armageddon, I thought it was cool because that story mode, even though it was kind of archaic, you know, it's kind of rudimentary, but it was still fun. And then the speed at which that game was played, and I played it much better than the original Mortal Kombats, even though if I went up against somebody who was a serious fighting game player, I'd get smashed. But the I liked how that story. This leads up into the Mortal Kombat 9 or Mortal Kombat by NetherRealm, is that the way that game ended with the pyramid rising up, everybody's fighting in the field and then like fighting each other on getting up to the top of that pyramid and everybody's dead. And then you're this new character, Dagon, and his brother Tabin or Taint.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Whatever his name is. And what was kind of lame about that, though, was like these two new characters who had like a pretty cool story. Maybe a cheesy one, but pretty cool. All of a sudden, Midway Studios Mortal Kombat, no more. Like, well, wherever that was going, it's gone.
Yeah. Midway. That was the end of Midway. Was right there.
Yeah, but I thought NetherRealm had a pretty good segue, like almost like honoring that legacy by keeping that scene in the beginning with the pyramid and everything, and giving it a little bit of a different story as to what happened, and then redoing everything from Mortal Kombat 1 all the way up to what you would think would be 4 at the end of Mortal Kombat 9. Is that story mode.
And that's the thing, is that story mode, as I said, that those the PS2 ones and whatnot, and the Xbox, the Deadly Alliance, Deception and all that stuff, those ones kind of had a rudimentary story mode in there at a time, once again, where you didn't get tons of story stuff in fighting games in general. You mostly got you probably, if you beat the game on arcade mode, you would get, there would be a couple cutscene pictures of like, hey, here's Chun-Li, here's, here's some, Tekken stuff or what. Tekken actually had cutscenes on that.
You'd have to fish for another week.
Yeah, but they mostly weren't like tons of stuff. It was like, okay, cool. Here's something little, a little extra and whatnot. And then Mortal Kombat started adding like, no, you're getting more story. You're getting more little depth in there. And I really think that was always kind of Mortal Kombat's strength, even back in the day. Even if you had to read through the comics and so on like that, is that Mortal Kombat kind of had just a stronger lore and story beyond just its fighting game. And even early on, you could just see it like all you have to do is watch like the '95 movie and like you get the whole gist of all your characters in there of Mortal Kombat 1, 2, and 3 almost. Mortal Kombat 1, 2.
I love watching the scenes from that second movie. It's just so terrible, but it's glorious.
I still like that second one. I'm still very partial to it. Like, it's definitely a B film. There's no getting around that. But I do kind of give it credit for trying a lot of stuff. Oh, sure. And it's got a lot of characters in there and so on like that. And their budget might not be all there, but at least they're trying. They're giving it the old college try.
I loved the weird thing about Raiden and Shao Kahn being brothers and Shinnok's their dad.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so they just gotta have all that stuff there. But yeah, I'm always partial to those old movies and so on. And leading on up, it is kind of cool that they sort of take like, okay, Midway's collapsed, which is strange to think. It's like here, Mortal Kombat would have probably ran that forever, but then it's like, oh no. But then Warner Brothers actually buys it up, which is always a strange one when you do think about it. Like, if Warner Brothers could be like, yeah, we're gonna put this in like, next to Batman and Superman and Lord of the Rings and all that stuff. We need some Mortal Kombat in our life.
But it's kind of like Disney buying Star Wars, or it's a thing. I'm like, I hope this goes okay.
Yeah, because it is a weird one. Because then, the first one, there was the Mortal Kombat versus DC, which is actually what sets up Mortal Kombat 9. Like, that's the game that doesn't get enough credit, but like that's almost like the testing grounds for this new play style, where they're going to be like, okay, it's not going to be a fully 3D run around, kind of like Soul Calibur style anymore. We're going to go back to, it's 2D, but in 3D, kind of like Mortal Kombat 4 in a sense.
Yeah.
But still make it feel like you're playing Mortal Kombat 2 almost.
I actually like the MK versus DC.
I do too.
A fun game. When I had no idea it was a thing until one day I was in a Blockbuster and I'm like, I was actually at Blockbuster and Angels Camp that used to be now it's the Round Table. But
yeah.
I walked in, I'm like, Mortal Kombat versus DC, and the first thing I thought was like, that's weird. But I'm gonna give this a try, and I was like, dude, this is super fun. What the heck? And I thought it was a little weak that there's no fatalities, but I understand. It's got DC in there, so. They had to kind of tone that back. And see, I think that's the thing, is there's people just like, oh, it's not mature rated. I'm not playing that. So that's why that game, I think, kind of went down and just didn't get a whole lot of popularity and so on like that. But which is truly is, it's actually Mortal Kombat 8, I think, if you think about it in like the timeline. Yeah, I think you're right. It'd either be 8 or 8.5. because you got 4 and then Deadly Alliance, Deception, and Armageddon, but then you have that Shell and Monks.
Oh yeah. Well, I don't think
that old continuity.
Yeah. Well, the Shell and Monks and Sub-Zero mythologies do, but I don't think they go in the numeral. So maybe, yeah, never mind. I think that's right. So 4, yeah, Deadly Alliance, Deception.
Yeah, I'm not really sure where Shell and Monks falls in there anyway, either. I thought it was like a between 4 and Deadly Alliance, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, no, you're right. That's actually would be like 8.5 is sort of what that one was. For some reason, I thought that fell into there.
Or a multiverse before the multiverse was a thing.
Yeah. But whatever, even if it's just a little spin-off, it is actually worth checking out, Mortal Kombat versus DC. I think it's fun. It's like, I know the character roster is kind of simple, but like it's still kind of a cool start. And it technically leads into 2 games. You then get, of course, Injustice, Mortal Kombat 9. Yeah, and then you get Injustice, which both the Injustice games were fantastic, too. I like those quite a bit. You haven't played those? God, they Warner Brothers literally just gives those games away nowadays. Like they'll go on sale for it, be like, you get both Injustice games with all the DLC and everything like that for like $8.99.
I'm telling you, man, I think Warner Brothers gets such a raw deal with the stuff that they've been putting out over the years. Like, obviously, Disney owning Marvel boosts Marvel by like astronomical amounts when it comes to funding and like marketing. But I mean, I don't know. I haven't seen that much DC stuff that I really didn't like, and it's like, I don't know. Maybe it's because they're not peppy and like super happy tone, and I don't know. But I think they get around good.
I personally I like the more serious tone, anyways.
Yeah, same.
That's the thing is like. Where sometimes Marvel can kind of come across as being sort of sitcom-y in a sense when it probably shouldn't be.
Yeah. And every movie, like, I think we were talking about this before years ago, the Thor Ragnarok, what about Ragnarok is funny?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, that's the end times. That is, and it's not just everyone on earth dies and goes to heaven because it's rapture. It's the end of the freaking universe. It is the destruction of the universe and the rebirth of everything. And yet, like in that movie, it's like did I like the movie? Yes. It's not like I'm saying like
it's got moments. I'll say that.
It's just like there's nothing Ragnarok about this movie. This is all just like haha. Thor, he cut his hair and Hulk beat him up, and Jeff Goldblum. What the hell? But no.
Yeah. That was one of those ones. I remember sitting there in the theater with like my arms crossed in the beginning. I'm like, what is going on here? Because I like Thor a lot, and it's like they made him like such a goofy, jokey character.
I know.
And like every third line was like a bit, and it's like. It literally felt like I was watching like Mel Brooks Presents the Thor movie, which if that was what it was titled, that'd be fine. But like, since it's supposed to be serious, I think it's kind of dumb that's how it kind of went down.
You could have put Bobcat Goldthwait in there, made a
film. He would have made an amazing film. I actually almost kind of want to see what the Bobcat Goldthwait Thor movie. But yeah, so it's like, at least Warner Brothers kind of keeps things a little bit more serious and so on like that. And as far as Warner Brothers games go, I always think that like there's only a handful of them, but like they're always solid. They got the Mortal Kombat stuff, of course, but then they got the Batman games. Those are excellent. There was those Lord of the Rings ones where they're kind of tough and a little bit frustrating, but still fun. There was a Mad Max one that just sort of literally went under the radar, but was a good one. And so on. So like, for what they have, but the only thing that was Warner Brothers is like, it's the company that like, they'll charge you $100 for the game when it first comes out, but I kid you not, in a couple of years from now, they'll sell that whole pack for $4.99.
There's a lot of, so I analyze everything. I read into everything. I research everything before I make any purchases, from my toothbrush to my vehicle. And, I looked into Mortal Kombat 1, and I waited for a while to buy it, because when I first bought Mortal Kombat 10, I bought 10 for like $40 from GameStop, and then I bought all the DLC. Every DLC there could be, I bought it, and I ended up putting it was like $110 or so at the end of the day. About a week and a half, 2 weeks later, they come out with XL, which had everything, and it was only like $38. I'm like, you have to be kidding me. And sure enough, I did the same thing with 11 a few years later. I bought the game because it came out, and I had just tried Kingdom Hearts 3, and I hated it. And I was like, this game is so effing dumb. And because when I was a kid, I played 1 and 2, and I thought they were really cool. And it's like that project was just shelved by Square Enix for years and years. So one day I'm day off, whatever, I go into GameStop in town and I see it on the shelf. I'm like, oh, Kingdom Hearts 3, neat. You know, like, so I bought it and I played it in a day and I beat it in like 3 days. And the whole time I beat it out of obligation because I hated it. I thought it was the dialogue was terrible and cringy, and it just was not fun. The beautiful game, but it wasn't fun. And so after I beat it, I brought it back to GameStop, and they had Mortal Kombat 11 had just come out, so I traded it. And I thought that game was amazing, but still, it was all the DLC. I'm like, ugh. So then I'm like, when they come out with this number one, or at the time, you know, we were thinking it was going to be 12. I'm waiting. I'm going to wait until they come out with everything, and then I'm going to buy it. And with all the mixed reviews and stuff, I just kept waiting. And then finally, yeah, like you said, a game that was probably like $90 on launch or something, I bought it for like $16 because of some deal that was on Xbox Marketplace. And it was like, or maybe PS5 or whatever, but it was like, yeah, like, I don't know, it's $20 altogether with the Chaos Reigns expansion and yada, yada. But yeah, no, you have to wait for those deals from Warner Brothers.
I've kind of learned that too, because they'll just get you. I mean, there's, you know, you're just better off on those fighting games. Just wait a little bit, you know, rent it for a moment if you want to try it out. But, you know, in the long run, just wait, and then they'll literally be at least half the price, like, not that long. I mean, even when I go back to this one here, that was how this thing sort of was like, this came out probably only like a year later, and then it had all the DLC and all that stuff. Back in the day, which makes this one always cool, is because like it's all on the same disc. You know, you don't get that anymore. You haven't got that for a long time, to tell you the truth. But you know, so you get the full thing on the disc, and the DLC on this one's not nearly like, you know, what some of these other ones are now. Because the last two Mortal Kombat games, they kind of split the game in half and almost sell you like part one, and then they're like, well, then later on come by and we'll buy it again, and we'll give you part two. You know.
But yeah, going back to the MK9, I mean, when I got that game initially, it was another one where I didn't really play video games for a few years. I've done this a couple times in life where I just put my focus elsewhere, and I just didn't play games for however long. I didn't have a video game system for a few years at one point. And this was back in late 2011. I went and I got an Xbox 360, and I went to GameStop and I saw this big box, and it was Mortal Kombat 2011. It had the bookends, the Scorpion and Sub-Zero, and a cool book in there, whatever, art book, and the game. And I'm like, what is this? I'm like, obviously it's Mortal Kombat, but I mean, like, what is this? I had no idea that it was rebooted. And I'm like, so I bought that thing, and because it was awesome. And I'm playing, I'm like, oh, what? And like, I'm seeing that fatal blow. Now back then it was in Mortal Kombat 9, it's the X-ray attacks. Now they're called
the X-ray
blows. And I was like, dude, this is brutal. And, you know, I just did the arcade for a little bit, and I didn't even pay attention to see that there was a story mode. And then I play the story mode, and because without a story mode or whatever, when I would play when I was young, Mortal Kombat to me was basically just Sub-Zero versus Scorpion. And I think it must be like that to most people, considering the fact that it came with bookends that were Sub-Zero and Scorpion.
Yeah. Well, I want to ask you this question real quick. When you were growing up, who do you think was more popular in like the circle of people you knew around you? Sub-Zero or Scorpion?
I'm going to say Scorpion.
Okay, because see, I always wondered that, because I always thought Sub-Zero was the one that was the most popular growing up. And then as time went on, they keep... Yeah, because, you know, nowadays you feel like Scorpion's always the one who's kind of like the poster boy child. He's almost become the Ryu of, you know, Mortal Kombat.
Well, he's their symbol on NetherRealm.
Yeah, that's what I mean. So it's like, I feel like as time has gone, like, but as a kid, I always felt like Sub-Zero was the one that stood out a little bit more.
Maybe it wasn't even either of them. Maybe it was Raiden. Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe it's Kano.
The attack that Raiden does where you can't understand what he's saying.
He just sounds like he says, I worship Satan.
But no, I mean,
I feel like he's like this really collective guy, but then when he goes to fight, he gets all crazy.
Yeah, the white thunder god that everybody worships in China.
Yeah, the guy that and he always screws everything up in Mortal Kombat.
Yeah, he does.
Like it's always whatever the problems are in Mortal Kombat stories, it's always probably something Raiden did.
I love how, like, half the time in the game too, I gotta go consult with the elder gods. He leaves, everybody gets fucked up, and then he comes back. He's like, oh crap, my my little jewel thing here is breaking again. Let me go consult again. But no, and when I started that story mode though, when I saw that, I was like, story mode, what? And that was the first time I played a fighting game that had a story mode, and that's the first thing that I was like, this is amazing. I love this. And
Yeah.
funny enough, I've read through like Reddit and stuff about people like, oh, the chapter system in Mortal Kombat is so lame, it's so dumb and bad and flawed and this and that. I'm like, the fuck are you talking about? It's a number one, it's a video game. Come on, get over yourself. But the playing through that, I was like, this is awesome. Why? Because, well, you're seeing the story, which of course with the reboot, you're getting 1, 2, and 3, more or less a retelling of sorts a little bit, but a lot of it's the same, which was awesome. For people like me who sucked at fighting games, now you're given a better chance to play, which I'll have to admit, this playthrough with Mortal Kombat 9 again, I had to play on beginner. I started on easy, and then I went to beginner because that's because I've recently played all of them again. I'm going to start 10 here in another day or so or whatever, maybe tonight, I don't know. But out of all the NetherRealm Mortal Kombats, I think 9 has to be the hardest. I really do. For the fact that Shao Kahn seems to be invincible, and just game shark to shit. And then also those tag team fights.
Yeah.
If you could like regain your health or something, like it's funny the thing they picked to be realistic, right? Like not gaining your health back to fight this other guy. I'm like, this is ridiculous. I can't tell you how many times I fought Quan Chi Scorpion, Quan Chi Shang Tsung, the different whatever. It was a pain in the ass, and I was so happy when I finally beat that damn campaign.
Yeah,
amazing. I loved it.
Yeah, no, dude, that is it. That one is pretty darn tough, especially for the newer Mortal Kombat ones. It still plays hard, like how the old Mortal Kombats did. I just even remember back in the day, like I remember when they re-released number 2, like on maybe PS3 or Xbox 360. I went to like a friend's house and there was like 6 of them there, and they're like, dude, nobody can get past like level 6. I'm like, oh, hold the phone there, let me show you how it's done. and then I got all the way to the Shao Kahn in there and so like that. I'd be like, yeah, I played a little bit of Mortal Kombat back in my day. But sometimes Mortal Kombat's one of those games where like you do have to sometimes use a little bit of cheap tactics, like to get your way through some stuff.
Oh, both. So in Mortal Kombat 9, you fight Shao Kahn twice. You fight him, at the end of the Mortal Kombat 2 section of the game, and you fight him at the end of the Mortal Kombat 3 section of the game. And both times, the first times with Liu Kang, the second time was Raiden. I fought him with Liu Kang probably like 8 times before I gave up, and I just kept fireballing him to win. Yeah. And then when I fought him with Raiden, I fought him like 3 times, and I'm like, forget it. Now, if I would have known right away how to do Raiden's lightning bolts, I would have just did that the whole time my first round, but I couldn't figure it out. I didn't know how to do it. I didn't.
Yeah, because he has a backwards Hadouken. It took me a sec. Yeah. I was doing the same thing too. I'm like, I could have swore it's just a regular, and then I was like, oh, it's backwards. Oh, okay, there it is. That's the only thing about Mortal Kombat I do think it is weird though. Is like Street Fighter at the end of the day, like reused moves have been the exact same since Street Fighter 1, but Mortal Kombat likes to change up the controls every couple generations of games, and it will throw me off. That's the only thing I always kind of when I go back to Mortal Kombat. I've played through all of them, but I literally always feel like I have to kind of do a partial relearning each time I go into it. Yeah. Where Street Fighter, I can pull it out and it can be like literally 6 months that I haven't played it, and it's just like, I remember where everything's at because nothing's changed.
Yeah, but yeah, that whole story mode. That's what won the game over for me. That's when I knew like this is awesome, and I can't wait to play the next one. When you the first part that. Okay, so playing through the story mode, starting from the beginning, I'm playing. I'm like, this is really cool. These characters, for the most part, all the characters I remember, and you're seeing them with new voices, new whatever. It's great, but I wasn't like blown away or like had any like oh my god moments until you see Jax go up and try to fight Ermac, which is I think in the second act would be
the Mortal Kombat 2 section.
Portion. Yeah, and it's the first time that you see anything like really messed up, and it's where he goes up, this big giant Jax Briggs, and I'm gonna punch you, and and Ermac just goes, and rips his arms off.
Yeah.
And I'm like, holy crap, this is crazy. And I was like, wow, this game is really cool. It's really destructive and terrible. So we'll see what's next, and of course there's more and more horrible, scenes and this and that. I'm like, this is awesome. And then of course all the way to the end of the game. What was it when you after Sindel's reincarnated and just destroys everyone, and I'm sitting there like, is there supposed to be a sequel? Because I don't see that happening, like with everyone dead. But then, well, we know what happens, that Mortal Kombat 4-ish, inspiration for that next game and so on and so forth. But no, it was such a good, refreshing re-entry into the series. And I think NetherRealm really knocked out of the park with number 9. Not a lot of things that I could really complain about. And it's such a great game to continue to replay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, every time I go back to it, it's like the one that it holds up so strong. I literally think it's the best like version of any kind of Mortal Kombat out there. If you wanted to give anybody like here's the Mortal Kombat experience, this is the one, because it gives you like the great story of the trilogy 1, 2, and 3, and that story mode. That's the thing I wish more fighting games would take from Mortal Kombat and do that. Yeah. It's like sometimes like I remember like on Street Fighter 5, and I don't even know if in 6 they did, but on 5 they kind of tried to, but it was like, it's one of those ones that just, it wasn't the same. Like I'm like, dude, Street Fighter, if you just did the same thing where you take your Street Fighter characters and you run through say 15 or so chapters, but then you put anime cutscenes in between, because that's what makes the Mortal Kombat thing really cool. Is it's like you're watching a big movie in a sense. You watch a big movie that you get to play all the fight scenes in a sense. And the other thing I think that's kind of neat about it, it's not like an arcade story mode where you pick your one character and you run through the 8 stages or whatever. You get your final cutscene, boom, you're done. Where in Mortal Kombat 9, what I like about it is you switch between the characters, so it kind of forces you to play through a lot of the guys.
You get to see
so you test out. And what I kind of like too is I ended up playing the game I had it on normal, and I just kind of left it on there, and I forgot I had it so there was 2 matches too, so it like that makes it take even longer to go through. And I was like,
it's 1, the story's still going to be 2.
Is it still 2?
Arcade mode, yeah.
Okay, well, never mind then. For some reason, I thought that. I was like, man, I should have set that, because that would have made this process a little bit faster. But if that's the case, so I'm not too worried then. But yeah, but what I kind of like about it though is because sometimes you get your ass kind of kicked, a handful of times, but in the process, you kind of, you learn the moves, you kind of figure out the character a little bit better, and by the time you go, because each character has maybe 3 to 4 matches, give or take, in their little story route, I feel by the time you hit the 4th part, you feel kind of confident with the characters, you know what I mean?
And time after time that I suck.
Well, then there's some characters too, because like I always thought that I was pretty decent with Katana, and then that was the one I was having the hardest time with Katana. There was some of those matches I restarted so many times on it. I was like, dude, why am I not like carrying through with this?
Yeah, I like playing with Katana. I do like the ninjas. I really like playing with Smoke. And I really like playing with Scorpion. I like Sub-Zero quite a bit. I was saying earlier, I would go back and forth actually between Scorpion and Sub-Zero. And as far as which one I thought was better, but Scorpion ended up being just the one that he is my favorite Mortal Kombat character, and I think part of that too comes from the Mortal Kombat movie, the first Mortal Kombat movie. I thought his moves were so cool.
They're so badass in that one.
Every time that, like, say if we were driving down to like Modesto or somewhere in the Central Valley and you're passing by orchards, I was always looking out my window like cartwheels.
Yeah, no, because that is a badass scene right there and so on like that. Yeah, no, and that's the cool thing is you got to play through a bunch of the characters. Now, granted, in this one, you're generally always playing as the good guys. That's like one thing that would have been kind of interesting to see is if you played as some of the bad guys. Like even if it was like maybe you could have the storylines maybe funneled together, but like you don't play as Melina, you don't play as Baraka, you don't play as
I hate Baraka in that game. Let me rephrase. I hate playing against Baraka.
Yeah.
His damn spinning attacks.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
When you go to jump after him and so on like that. Probably my all-time favorite, I think, Mortal Kombat character from going back in the day has always been Sonya Blade. That's my go-to play character. I got really good for Mortal Kombat 3 at one point in time for no reason at all, but I was like, I'm just going to get really good here.
I love the scenes with Sonya in Mortal Kombat 9. They make me laugh because it's so silly. But Mortal Kombat to me is also a game that, as we were talking about Warner Brothers having the more serious tone films and everything, which I love, I do also have to keep in mind that Mortal Kombat's Mortal Kombat, and you shouldn't take it that seriously. Which I always thought was funny, the whole like post Mortal Kombat 9, it'd be 10 and 11, all these human soldiers like going into the Nether Realm and fighting all the deal. I'm like, huh, okay, your funeral. But I love how in 9, when she first rescues Jax and she just goes up to the jail cell and she's like, you just heard a little space ghost weapon there.
Oh, totally. Yeah, just blast that.
What was that?
That's the one. It's like they never really ever explained like how Sonya has that. It's like, is it an armband that shoots that off? Like, does she just have weird powers? It's kind of like same thing with Johnny Cage.
That was one thing. That was another thing that I was actually glad for this game to do, because in Mortal Kombat 1 and 2, yeah, she does that little pink fucking laser thing, and you're like, what is that? Like, what is that supposed to be? And then, of course, in 9, it's a device. It's some kind of. It doesn't matter what kind of device. She's in the military. Yeah. They have technology, whatever. They have all kinds of gadgets and gizmos and guns. So sure, but it is still kind of funny because it's just bloop, and then like melts this giant steel jail cell door, which she then later uses to cauterize his wounds. It's like that thing evaporated bars of steel, and yet it just like singed his arm, like just to make sure he's not going to bleed anymore.
Yeah, she can control it, I guess, somehow, some way. Well, it's like the other thing I do kind of like about 9, because it does change by 10 and 11, is that they definitely, and it's probably a Warner Brothers thing, let's be honest, but they do tone back Mortal Kombat, because Mortal Kombat always fit in it's an exploitive movie realm, so it's supposed to be kind of Grindhouse like, and it's supposed to be over the top and a little bit zany and super violent, and then the characters are supposed to be kind of like overly kind of maybe sexual and so on like that. But the weird thing is like, because like somebody might see 9 and be like, here's all the scantily clad girls and the guys with their shirts off and everything.
In terms of that, for sure.
Yeah, so if you're trying to show somebody it based on like those notions, you got to be a little bit careful there. But it's the one that kind of bothers me when I play 10 and 11. It's like, I'm like, dude, they cover up everybody. Even all the guys are wearing shirts in that one. Like, there's like nobody's bare chested at all in that.
I want to see some man chest.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't care if Liu Kang's 50 years old by now. I want to see that chest. Damn it, take your clothes off.
In terms of that, I think that 11 probably had the best character designs. 1 was fine, I guess, in terms of character design. It just one is such a weird game to me. I have very mixed feelings about 1. I played it, I bought it. I'm glad I only paid like $16-20 for it. I don't know if I would have paid full price ever for that game, but I love Mortal Kombat. I'm a diehard Mortal Kombat fan, so I would have had it some way, one way or another. Yeah. But that's just a very interesting one. I think it's also a bold move to reboot a series that you already rebooted. Yeah,
like a decade before, pretty much.
I don't quite get that, but whatever. But no.
I will say real quick on the Mortal Kombat 1, the aesthetic part that I like of it is it gives me like that 70s Shaw's Brothers like kung fu vibe. It's kind of like, it's almost like a Mortal Kombat sort of 0 in a sense. Like it's supposed to be like taking place almost even before like, your traditional Mortal Kombat 1, like an alternative kind of world. I do like I think that looks kind of neat in there just to change it up a bit, so it has a little bit more colorful. Things aren't nearly just as destroyed and demonic looking, like, kind of like your classic Mortal Kombat 2 and 3 sort of vibe.
Well, I think so many people, it's kind of like with music, when a band releases an album that is just like their last one and or their first one, whatever. And that first album, everybody's like, this is the best thing ever. Oh my God, it's so great. Oh my God, can't wait for the next one. And you've got a group of people that are saying like, all you did was make the same album again. But then you've got, a group of people who are like, thank you, this is what we wanted. And then if they were to do it the other way around, they would make a more innovative approach. You got people that were saying like, but we wanted, the first album part 2. instead of the people you know that are like, hey, this just shows that you can do other things. And that's kind of like the way I look at Mortal Kombat 1. I think with anything, you're going to have people that are like, they're just going to complain about anything. And they could have made everything perfect with that game, and yet there's still people that are going to be like, this game sucks. And so another thing that started, I think, with number 9 was the crypt.
I believe. Well, God, was the crypt in the PS2 ones? Now that I think about it,
I don't remember. I don't think it was, but it might have been.
Yeah.
I guess I just remember it very well with 9 and not the others.
Yeah.
But that's another one that got better over time, I think, that I was very sad to see was not in Mortal Kombat 1. That stupid invasions thing. But the crypt in 9 is what I like about the crypt in 9 is how easy it is. All you're doing is just unlocking stuff with coins that you get from playing the game.
Yeah.
In 10 and 11, it's like there's secrets. You got to find certain things to do, which was very fun. Like 11, in my opinion, perfected the crypt. I thought it was so cool. 10 was very similar to it, just a little different. But 9 was, you're just going around. You got this map. You just keep going up to these bodies and poking them until they explode. And here it is, some character art, you know. But that was neat too. But yeah, I don't know. Like you said, it's just such a. I think that if you're a fighting game fan, if you're a Mortal Kombat fan, and or both, well, I guess you'd have to be a fighting game fan if you're a Mortal Kombat fan. But it's just one that you gotta have, you gotta play. And the thing that I was so happy when I realized, I don't know if it was either talking to you or I found it. I think you told me.
I think I mentioned it to you because we were talking about it, and then I was like, oh, you could play this on Series X, you know.
Yeah, I looked it up and I'm like, because I'd been looking for it. I'm always looking at older games that, like, you know, will this ever be ported? Will this ever be modulated for you know, the PS5, for the Xbox X, whatever, blah blah blah. And people are like, nope, it's only for this. You can't play it. It's not available. And then when you said that I could just put the disc in and play, I'm like, what? And I got that complete edition too. Got it from Canada. I don't know why this has been floating around sealed, never played, and it makes you wonder. You know, like, you buy that, why do you keep it and not play it? I mean,
well, I'm not gonna lie. If I looked in my collection, I bet you I could find a couple sealed ones that I have not opened.
Fair enough. I guess it's something super rare, and
that, or sometimes there'll be certain games it's like $10. You're like, I'll pay $10, and then you never get around to it because you didn't spend that much. That you're like, whatever, like, you know, I'll get to it someday, and then maybe someday never comes. You know, if you spend like $60 on it, it's kind of weird to not open it.
That's what I mean. I mean, yeah, for a complete edition game where you could have just gotten the original one. You know, but I don't know. Anyway, thanks for that guy in Canada who sent me that.
Yeah, see, it all worked out. You put it to good use there and so on. And that is kind of true, is that, you know, with Mortal Kombat, especially 9 and just the other ones that come after it, they give you a whole lot to do. Because the other thing that I love about, especially Mortal Kombat games, especially in the last while too, is that if you're just a single player, there's a lot there. You got that great storyline. I mean, it took me 6 hours right now just to play through it again, and I've played through it multiple times. So it's like, okay, there's quite a bit there. Of course, you can play your classic arcade modes, the ladder stuff, and so on. But then you got the crypt, so you have kind of more reasons to keep playing and unlocking stuff. Where there's a lot of fighting games, which, you know, they're great fighting games, but like all they really have is like, you know, you play against a computer or you play against online. Is there a story? Well, no, not really. There's one cutscene in the beginning, and there's a little still frames at the end, but that's it. Yeah, and like that's kind of all you get. Which, you know, this is fun for a couple nights, but then you're kind of like, you know, I kind of wish there was a little bit more. Where I feel like Mortal Kombat's the one where like you could literally buy it, never play it with anybody else, and you felt like you got your money's worth out of it.
Absolutely, and that's the thing too. It's just like it's just like first person shooters for me. Obviously, there's many of these games are made to be played with other people, but for me, I love the stories.
Yeah, same here.
The Halos, the Call of Duties. It's always been I preferred campaign, and if I'm hanging out, you know, if we're hanging out, hey, let's play this for a little bit. Sure, yeah, absolutely.
A little co-op action, yeah.
But I think Call of Duty 4 and Halo 2 were really the only, and Halo Reach were really the only shooters that I really enjoyed playing online. But after that, it's just like, once I'm done, I play that story, there it is, and I moved on to the next one. And
Yeah.
That's the cool thing about, gosh, I think the exception is Tekken. Tekken's such a weird fighting game with their story. It's such a Japanese story.
That's one of those ones like I can't tell. I've played all the Tekkens for the most part, but like I couldn't tell you heads or tails what that story kind of is. For the most, the story that I know most of all is that Tekken anime movie that came out in like '98, and I haven't seen that in a good while. So I mean, I'm probably not that fresh on it either. I always like Tekken. Tekken's one of those weird ones where it's probably at like the low end of like my top 10 favorite fighting games, but that doesn't mean I don't like it a lot. I just don't like it as much as say Street Fighter, Dead or Alive, Virtual Fighter, Mortal Kombat, yada yada yada.
All right, have you played King of Fighters?
Yes, I've played a lot of King of Fighters. I'm a big fan of them.
I have a King of Fighters game. I don't know which one it is.
Well, there's a lot of them. They have literally one like every year.
I started playing that because my wife was telling me that she thought the King of Fighters was super fun. She used to play it, I guess, when she was young. And I'm playing it, and I'm like, you know what? I had gotten that right after I got Tekken 7, I think. And at first, when I'm playing Tekken 7, it was on sale when I bought it. And I love Tekken, but I haven't played it that much other than number 3. And so I'm playing it, and I'm like, this game's super cool. And then I fought like 3 matches, and then I gave up, and I stopped playing. And that was about 3 years ago. And because it was really hard. I don't know who. It's kind of like that one weird Guilty Gears game. I'm like, dude, I can't play this. This is so hard. Who thinks this is fun? And it was a thing too, where I'm like, I put it on the easiest, and I'm still getting my ass handed to me by a panda bear. And
just to spite you.
I'm like, this is ridiculous. And right after that, I picked up the King of Fighters and I started playing that, and I was like, I can win. I don't know what's going on here, but I'm playing this and I'm winning. And it has a story mode too. It's really weird. I don't see the point of it yet. It's just a weird story in that game so far. It's like everybody's there for a fighting tournament, kind of like Tekken, but it's seems a lot more friendly and happy than the Tekken series. It's not nearly as serious.
Or it's not like Mortal Kombat, which is literally the fate of the world is decide on this tournament here. So if we do not, if none of us win from Earth Realm, guess what? Shao Kahn's going to take over, and he can have it because that was how the rules were set.
Now I'm going to assume you saw that last Mortal Kombat movie they made.
The one that came, the live action one,
the live action
2017. There's the last 4 animated one. Or maybe it was 19. That one is, I'm going to say this. I think we probably talked about it on the podcast when it came out, but I remember I have very mixed feelings about it. Like, there's some stuff in it that is cool, but it's weird that it's very... No, it was part of my mic's thing fell here. I'm going to take this so it doesn't go down. Hopefully it's not making a god-awful noise on your end. If I keep talking, maybe it won't. But that was one of those movies where... there's some moments in there are cool, but like they really toned that movie back on its violence. I felt like it was about like a PG-13, which I always give the original Mortal Kombat movie. I know that one's PG-13, but I give that one a pass because 1995. Let's be honest, a lot of people aren't even 17 years old yet, so they're fans of Mortal Kombat. Like, you have to get them in the theater to make your money. I get that 100%, and it works out because that movie still kind of does. But now it's like, that movie there, it's 2019 or whatever the heck it is. I felt like it should have been really violent and so on like that. And it was kind of weak on that.
Yeah, I didn't make a Mortal Kombat movie that has that level of violence. I mean...
Yeah, and then the other
Mortal Kombat versus DC film.
Yeah, and sadly, that movie should have came out the same time that this game did, because in 2011 was still when violence in movies was like guaranteed. There was great stuff. That was where you got the Expendables movies were all really violent. You had Rambo 4, Tropic Thunder. Yeah. You had the Punisher Warzone movie. Like there was a lot of great violence in cinemas of that time period. And I think because it came out in 2019 and kind of a, let's be honest, an era where things were getting really soft and putting the kid gloves on everything, that kind of did. And then the other thing that was goofy is they put the dumb kind of Avatar character in there, which was like, hey, here's the boxer guy. Oh, and he's like, the great grandson of Scorpion, and it's like,
which doesn't make a lot of sense because he's not, Scorpion wasn't really like a feudal era guy. I mean,
Yeah.
That part of the movie is really weird to me. Also, I'm like, what's up with this like ancient history shit? Like these guys are all like from the modern era, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
In Mortal Kombat, anyway. I mean, it's like, dude, I don't know if you know this. I don't know if Hollywood knows this, but there's still people living in rural areas of the world that, just like there are in the U.S. It doesn't mean they're ancient, you know.
Yeah, as I said, that was how I felt, and I've only watched that movie once, and I kind of have never felt the urge to watch it again. Like it's like one of those ones, like I would rather just watch, you know, the second Mortal Kombat movie every single time over that. But the upside though is that Warner Brothers had those 4 animated movies, and they are all amazing.
I was gonna say I can't say they're all cool because I've only seen the first one.
Oh well,
and I thought it was awesome. I didn't even know those other ones were out until recently.
Yeah, I've bought every single one like day one when they come out because I get so excited about those. And they're all good. They're all good. Maybe one of these days we'll sit down and watch through them because I wouldn't mind watching through them again anyways. And I always want to do them on the podcast, so that could be kind of a fun one because they do a great job of, once again, just like Mortal Kombat 9, kind of get you caught up, tell the retale of the classic Mortal Kombat story, which is one of those ones. It's like, that's a weird one that like I've heard that story multiple times and I never kind of get tired of it. I like it in the original trilogy. I like it in Mortal Kombat 9. I like it in the original movie. I like it, you know, in those animated movies. It's like it's always one of those ones like, I'm sold. It's a cool one. You take that Enter the Dragon storyline and just run with it with more over the top fantasy elements.
Well, and they have such cool Boone and Tobias. They had some really cool character designs that even if they don't have much of a story, it doesn't matter just because of how they look. And it's like there's something that's going to be eye catching, and it's going to make people want like the Cyberlink Way. I mean, I don't know if they came up with a design before they came up with a story, but I mean, when I first saw those things, I was like perplexed. I'm like, what is this? Like, this looks really interesting. This looks really cool. And then seeing them in Mortal Kombat 2, the movie, you know, you get a little bit of that. That was really cool on the big screen. And then, of course, furthermore, within the games and stuff, you get more of their backstory, blah, 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 which I thought in 9 was really cool to see. Sector and Cyrax as people before they're actually cyborgs.
Yes,
that was awesome. And then of course Cyber Sub-Zero, which I have mixed feelings about. Actually, I thought it was really cool at first, but I can't figure out why I can't do an X-ray attack with him.
Oh, because you gotta do it in midair. You gotta do it in midair.
Oh, that's stupid.
Yeah. That was a challenging character to play with too. You know, and
It was challenging.
I always liked Sub-Zero, but I've never been the greatest with Sub-Zero. I don't know why. Like in all the Mortal Kombat games,
in Mortal Kombat 10.
Yeah, maybe it's certain. I actually like what was the female Sub-Zero in number 10? Frost, yeah. I kind of liked her because she was faster. Because that was the thing about Sub-Zero is he's always kind of slow. I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but like, you know, that always sort of like, I don't know what it is. I've never been the greatest of Sub-Zero, so that Sub-Zero or the Cyber Sub-Zero was a little bit challenging. But I do think that's another cool thing in 9 is how you see the progression of a lot of these characters. Same with like Cabal. You see him normal, and he's working with Stryker when they're doing the invasion of like Shao Kahn's people are coming, and they're fighting him off, and then he gets literally lit on fire by Kentaro and whatnot. I like how Stryker looks down at him. He's like, yeah, I should probably put that out, but I'll take care of this fight first.
Yeah, he looks. Kentaro starts walking up and he's like, "Here, let's spread out, multiple targets." You know, and I'm like, "What the fuck?" You know, whatever. And they start shooting at him, and then of course he's blown on fire, and he just looks down, and then of course then you have to, you know, do your kung fu against this four-armed tiger dragon, and. It was a while back. I was really curious on like what is Shao Kahn, what is you know, what are they, blah blah blah. Well, the you know, through reading on the Mortal Kombat wikis and whatever else, do I learn that Goro, Kentaro, Shiva, they're all of the same race but different like lineages of a race, and Shao Kahn is a dragon race. And blah blah blah, and so are the Shokan and this and whatever, and so here I am looking at Kentaro. I'm like, Shokan, dragon, tiger, whatever. He's cool. And, it just anyway, yeah. So you know, this cop's gonna do his kung fu against that thing while his buddy's over there burning to a crisp, and then he gets knocked into a subway, and like. 1,000 yards away, and then comes back up and he's like, "Where's my friend?" You know. And I love Raiden and Nightwolf are just so like, sorry, there was nothing we could do. Like, why not?
Yeah, you guys have Nightwolf and Raiden have all these powers, but yeah, well, sorry. Raiden was having a migraine vision again, so it's a.
That was a really funny scene. I was wondering about that one because like the whole story mode is pretty solid. Like I didn't like, come on, Trooper. But I didn't really see anything that I would have thought like was a loose end or a loophole or anything unfinished. But that one scene where Stryker and Cabal they go down to the city, down to the street from the rooftop after they fight Reptile, and Raiden just like comes by, floats down, looks at Stryker, and then zaps away. It's like, couldn't have said like "I'll be right back" or something. It was a pretty awkward scene.
Yeah, exactly. There's some stuff there, but it is kind of neat how that like they sort of take all the classic levels and they weave them all together to make them feel like, oh, okay, now I see where this all links together a little bit more and how it all connects.
Yeah.
And I will say, you were saying earlier about the character designs and so on. I think that's also another thing that really makes these Mortal Kombat games always stand out. Is I just think like generally all the characters are pretty cool. Where you play some fighting games and you're like, yeah, here's the couple main characters are kind of neat, and then everybody else kind of like, you know. And I'm more talking about like more the spin-off ones there. But even games that
I'm just trying to think if there's any characters I really don't like, not don't like playing, but don't care for. And in 9, I can't think of any.
No, not in the original section. I think I like every single character in this, even if it might not be the ones I play as, a bunch. Like, I think they're all cool. I think they all got neat backstories and so on, and just the design themselves. Each one has a very cool, unique look, I
loved when I had my wife watch Big Trouble in Little China. And
which definitely influences a lot of Mortal Kombat.
I'm like, yeah, this is one of the influencers for Mortal Kombat. She's like, really? I'm like, yeah, I mean, you'll see. And those that Thunder God guy, and stuff. But that was that one, and I think was it Bloodsport? Was another one?
Bloodsport's another one because initially Mortal Kombat was going to be like a Jean-Claude Van Damme game, is what they were kind of going with, Yeah. But I think that all totally worked out, like not to have that, and you have Johnny Cage anyways, which once you get going back to that movie, it's like, they made that Avatar Scorpion grandson thing, whatever. Oh, what'd you lose your camera there?
No, you're good. I just wanted to shut my door so my cat doesn't destroy my wife's stuff.
Oh, that makes sense.
There we go.
Yeah, those cats terrorizing everything. But yeah, so as I was saying, kind of with that Avatar characters, I always felt like, even though Johnny Cage, I know, he always felt like he's sort of the Avatar character. I know he's like a famous movie actor, but at the end of the day, he's the one kind of normal guy that shows up to this thing to ask all like in a sense, the dumb audience questions. Like I felt like Johnny Cage fits that mold, and that's why it felt silly to take, to put those, that Scorpion grandson, whatever.
Yeah. I feel like there were so many better choices that could have been made than that. Especially when it's like, I don't know. I just think there could have been a better choice out of all the characters they already had. And he was such an underwhelming character too. From what I remember seeing, there's supposed to be a sequel, and I guess Johnny Cage is supposed to be in it.
Okay, yeah. Who knows? I'll say this. I would definitely see the sequel because I feel like you could make up for that last one. That I'm not opposed to like sometimes a sequel like can kind of fix all the flaws of the first one. It's not that the first one's unwatchable. It's just not as
underwhelming.
It's just underwhelming. It's in a sense it's the worst Mortal Kombat movie out there. Like,
I have to agree. I would rather watch Mortal Kombat 2 than the latest Mortal Kombat.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Because at least it's fun. It may be terrible, but it's fun.
Yeah. It's a B movie, but it's fun, and it still has a crap ton of characters in it. Like, that's faithful enough, faithful for its budget. I'll say,
Even if Shao Kahn's, a crybaby, and
Even if
weird.
Johnny Cage dies right at the beginning, I know that was always the thing that bothered a lot of like my friends back, and they're like just like 5 minutes in and Johnny Cage is already dead, like the hero of the first one. I'm like, you had to make room for some other characters.
Hero, you know.
Yeah, exactly. You know,
What is it? That movie. There's only two scenes that I really enjoyed, and it was the Sub-Zero fighting Jax. And only because how brutal that was when he ripped his arms apart, and then the Scorpion scene, and it was like, man, it took the whole movie to get Scorpion out. That's kind of stuff.
Hopefully that next one will make up for it, and so on. You know, I'll be optimistic.
The one thing I thought about that was interesting when I was watching some videos on like the history of Mortal Kombat was, I think it's the second game, Mortal Kombat 2. His what do you call it? The character ending when you're playing through arcade mode. It shows Scorpion like having remorse and decides to be Quiet Lang's protector in life.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. There's so many cool like branches of story for all the characters that of course are not canon because the arcade endings are not they're not really what the ending of the game is, but that's still pretty cool that he I had no idea. I thought they were just enemies the whole time. But apparently he did decide to become Kuai Lang's protector and keep him from harm until later on, and whatever he
changed his mind again. But no, that's always kind of cool because I always kind of forget about that. Is like of all the like the little minor like little endings that they'll have in those kind of arcade ones that sometimes can be kind of just interesting, like different things. And I've even thought about might be kind of fun just to sit down and play through some Mortal Kombat 2 again and just go through like, you know, a good majority of the characters and just like, you know, play it to the end and so on. See how like much punishment you can take. Yeah. Because some parts are a lot harder to go through of certain characters than others.
Did you get that Mortal Kombat cabinet together that I left?
Yes. Yeah, because you gave me the Mortal Kombat 1, 2, and Ultimate 3 one. Yeah. So, no, it totally works out well and everything like that. I kind of definitely need a nicer space for it to really have it out. It's like my other arcade cabinet. It's kind of like a functioning wall at the moment, but...
Man, I don't even see those cabinets around anymore. Like, no. They used to sell those at Walmart. Now they're just gone.
Yeah, it's like they kind of that arcade 1-up thing. I think was in a sense, I guess it was like a fad for maybe 6 years or so, maybe a little bit longer than that even. But it's like the last one I can't remember seeing is I remember seeing like a Pac-Man one on sale, and that was about it. And I kind of thought about getting it just because it has the 4-way joystick in it.
I was so pissed off though when I bought that thing. It was like $300, and which I wasn't upset about it. I thought it was a fair price. I thought it was really cool. But then like a week after I bought it, there was another Mortal Kombat one that had the same Mortal Kombat games I had, but it also had 12 other games on it. Like, what the hell is this? Like, and it was the same price.
Yeah, that's the only thing about those arcade 1-ups is like, you know, it's like they'll have versions where it's like, here's 3, and it's like, or here's just a couple games, and that's cool. And then they'll release one later. It's like, in a sense, just like the enhanced version, which feels kind of... okay. I mean, I took my Marvel vs. Capcom cabinet, and my whole goal of it was I was going to mod it anyways. And then, of course, the modding... I think I got it on sale for like $298, and then by the time I was done modding it and getting all the extra parts, I felt like I put another $300 into it because you had to convert the video over. I had to put in an emulator. I had to put a new joystick. Yeah, there's a lot that had to kind of go with it.
Marvel vs. Capcom. I just saw that there's a some kind of pack on it's either PlayStation or Xbox.
It's on all of them.
Is it? I was stoked when I saw that recently because I thought that that was another game I wouldn't be playing again anytime soon. Was the original Marvel vs. Capcom, which I used to own. Yes. And I don't know if you remember, if you ever went there at all, in Arnold for a while, starting in like 2005, I think. There was a place called Geeks Paradise. It was that video game store.
I do kind of remember it, but I don't think I ever really went there. But I do.
I wouldn't imagine that you'd spend a lot of time there, considering it was like on the other side of the map.
Yeah.
But it was cool while the original owners had it. Then when they sold it and decided to do whatever else, the guy who bought it from him ran it into the ground within a year, I think, and it sucked. He didn't really do anything other than play games and ignore everybody that came in. But I'm like, dude, you know you can do this at home. Like, you You don't need to have a storefront to play video games. But anyway, I traded that game in there. They gave me like $12 for it. The original Marvel vs. Capcom on PC or on a PlayStation.
So which was the PlayStation 1?
Yes.
Yeah, I had that one too.
I had it, and I traded it for something to put towards something else, I think. Then after they gave me like $12 for it, of course they put it back on the rack for like $80. And I'm like, damn it. It was that one, Crash Team Racing, that I had.
That's a good one.
Time.
You know, they have a good, speaking of, I'll even say of both those games, but they have a Crash Team Racing kind of remaster version that's super good. Yeah, that one's super good.
I like that better than Mario Kart, actually.
It is, and it's way challenging too. Like, there's something about that, and it's got a story mode in it and everything. Like, you know, speaking of like that kind of Mortal Kombat stuff, but you did mention that Marvel vs. Capcom, that collection. I bought that on Switch a little while back, and it's badass because it's got, you know, X-Men Children of the Atom, X-Men versus Street Fighter, Marvel Superheroes, Marvel versus or X-Men versus Street Fighter, Marvel versus Street Fighter, whatever, Marvel's Capcom and Marvel's Capcom 2. So, and the Punisher arcade game for some odd reason. I don't know why. It's cool, but like, it's like it doesn't really fit with the rest of them.
Do you think that's worth it for the Switch, or do you think it should be on a different system if you were going to buy it again?
I only bought it on the Switch mainly because it was on sale, and I was like, I'll take the cart. Like, it was like, because one, I knew, knowing Marvel versus Capcom, I bet you it'll be worth something in like 20 years from now.
Yeah.
So that was the only reason I kind of went with that. And I remember, like, literally when I kind of got it, they're like, oh yeah, it's going to come out on Xbox or something like that. Because I did think about, I'm like, probably for playing online and everything like that. Like, sometimes I always feel like I'd get it on PlayStation or Xbox, but
I don't care about the online part.
Yeah.
Because
if you don't care about the online, I wouldn't worry about it.
I'll probably get it for the Switch then. You said you actually bought a cartridge?
Yes, they actually have a cart. So that was what I kind of wanted, the cart part.
That's about the only system worth buying a physical copy of games anymore.
I kind of agree too. I feel like Xbox and PlayStation, I only get the physical versions if for some reason they're just radically cheaper than the digital anymore.
I had no idea how expensive Gran Turismo 7 was until after I bought it. What I mean is, months and months ago, I got that game to try to help my wife drive, and it was just on sale at Walmart for $20, and I thought maybe it was like $5 off or something. And when I went back, because one of my buddies, I showed him the game, he played it. Wow, this is really cool, and he got interested in it. I'm like, yeah, dude, they got it at Walmart. It's like $20. He's like, oh well, I don't know, because he's like, yeah, I was gonna buy it last night, but after playing it at your house, but man, it's like $70. I'm like, oh, don't do that, dude. It's at the store for $20. And he's like, yeah. And I'm like, I'll double check. I went back in there, and it was $69.90. I'm like, what the hell? This isn't even new. But
yeah, no, they'll do that where they kind of fluctuate those prices and everything like that.
Yeah, if I can find a deal, sure, but otherwise, why waste your physical space?
Yeah, well, that's just like it's dumb because it's like, you know, the game's partially on there. You know, you're not going to have any of the DLCs or any of that stuff anyways. It still has to update. Yeah, there's a lot of that stuff, you know. But yeah, but even thinking about Mortal Kombat, the only kind of bummers I will say to Mortal Kombat 9 nowadays is you can't play it online. So if you did want to play with a buddy or anything like that, they don't have that, which is
on the couch.
Yeah, you got to literally meet up physically, which, you know, that is always awesome, but sometimes it's not always plausible. But it is kind of a bummer that they didn't do that. That does always make me wonder if they ever will decide to do like a re-release of this game. You know, because in a sense you're just playing the 360 game on Xbox Series X. It's not like it's upgraded or anything like that, but
and I would say those graphics still hold up pretty well.
Yeah, they're pretty good. It's one of those weird things. I've noticed this on Series X for some reason though, is like Xbox original games look really good on the Series X. Like, they look fantastic. Like, they're really upscaled and everything like that. But then there's a lot of 360 games, if they're not Gears of War or Halo or Microsoft, in a sense, first party, sometimes it feels like they kind of go like, just slap it on there, 720p, good enough. There you go. And it's like, I wish they were all kind of like upscaled like that, just that little bit more. I mean, even though Mortal Kombat does look pretty darn decent and so on, and, you know, but yeah, it's just like that little bit. There's certain games. There's something like the Call of Duty ones where it's like they're just kind of running at like 720, and you're like, okay. I mean, like, cool.
Actually, I don't know if you might have felt the same way or not, but with Mortal Kombat 9, I actually thought the graphics for the gameplay was better than the sequences than the cutscenes. I don't know. It just seemed better, like polished or something. I don't know.
Well, and that probably what that is that the cutscenes are rendered, in whatever 2000, probably in 10, realistically, before the game even kind of comes out and whatnot. And so they're rendered for a 360 PS3 era to look good. And so the game running on the Xbox Series X realistically probably is being a little bit enhanced because it is on Xbox. So that's what's probably making those graphics look better. Because I know that happens all the time when you pick up old PC games, or you pick up and then the PC will you can put the settings up really high, but then whenever there's pre-rendered cutscenes, they're rendered back at pretty much whatever year they came out at to be fine, because in a sense, Mortal Kombat was meant to be played probably most likely even on a CRT TV almost still.
Yeah.
It's still that time period where you may or may not have an HD TV yet and so on. But you do kind of notice that when it cuts between them is that there's that.
That made me think of Champions of Norath for whatever reason, which you got to try, man.
I know. I have that sitting here, too. I feel bad. Just like many other things, it's I buy it, I have good intentions, and then sometimes I just never get around to it.
That is what it is.
But,
it's hard when you're doing cool stuff like this.
I know. It's you're like, I gotta get some Mortal Kombat in, you know what I mean? And then it kind of sets me off. I'm like, oh, I could play some more Mortal Kombat now, you know what I mean? Because you get kind of excited. You finish this story, and then you're like, oh, I'm gonna make a run through 10, make a run through 11. I really am having kind of a feeling of, I really want to kind of go back and just play through a little bit more of the original Mortal Kombat 1, 2, and maybe 3. I put a lot of hours into 3, so I always feel like I'm pretty covered in that one. But
best of luck to you. I will be not doing that.
It's a tough one.
I know exactly how far I'll get, which is nowhere.
It's challenging. Well, that's even in this. It's that's why I wanted to sort of test my might and see what it was like playing online with people of this one,
Gosh, when I started playing the story mode again in preparation of this podcast, having a blast the whole time. But I will say, there was a few moments where I was starting to get mad. Some of those fights, man, that is a challenging fighting game. But
it is, because
it's equally as challenging as it is fun.
Yeah, cause it's got it's challenging, but it's kind of like that rewarding challenging. You generally, other than maybe Shao Kahn, you never feel like you're kind of cheated too much in that game.
No,
Shao Kahn's the only one, because I remember when it got to that last battle of Raiden, and I was I was trying so many different strategies with that. I was like, okay, what do I gotta do? Should I teleport away from his when he throws his spears and he throws that stupid hammer, that once that hammer gets you, you're pretty much screwed. Oh, yeah. And then I kind of realized my strategy ended up being is that I'd walk up to him, and then he would go to swing his hammer, I would teleport behind him, uppercut him, then do the same thing again. I'd walk towards him so he would swing that hammer at me, teleport behind him, uppercut him, and that was pretty much literally what I did, rinse repeat. But it probably took me 15 tries to kind of figure out exactly what I needed to do.
Oh, yeah. That was me and Liu Kang, or Liu Kang versus Shao Kahn, because I kept trying to play for real.
No, when it comes to those boss characters, it's literally I always feel all my classic instincts come in. It's kind of like when you fight Goro. The way I've always fought Goro back in the day was you just jump up, air punch him, land on the ground, uppercut, and repeat. He might get a couple hits in on you, but
the other bosses in Mortal Kombat 9 are nowhere near as challenging as Shao Kahn.
No. Well, and that's just the older Mortal Kombat games in general. None of the fights are nearly as bad as Shao Kahn.
Which in a way is a pretty good homage to the predecessor developer.
Yeah,
it's a good nod from NetherRealm to Midway. Hey, you know what? You guys did a really great job on pissing people off with Shao Kahn. We're gonna do the same thing. Our hats off to you. Which is funny in a sense because in obviously Shao Kahn is absent from 10, and then back in 11 and 1. It's funny, it'd been so long since I played 9. It's kind of crazy how much they nerfed him in 11 and 1.
Yeah.
Now he's not the main antagonist. He's not as important to the story, of course, but still, it's you got this dude who's he's Shao Kahn, and all of a sudden in 1 especially, what a cream puff. It was so easy.
Now, is 1 is it 1 or is it 11 where Sindel's kind of the main
1? In 1, yeah. Sindel is, I don't know, Sindel Khan or something.
Yeah, Sindel Khan.
Too that I didn't realize until 10, I guess, was the introduction of Kotal Khan.
Yes.
I thought Shao Kahn was his name, kind of like what people thought about Darth Vader when Star Wars came out. But then there was in 11 there was Katana Khan after Kotal Khan, you know, and blah blah blah. And to see General Shao in Mortal Kombat 1, I kept laughing about that because every time I heard it, I thought of a chicken dish. You know, like General Shao's chicken, and
you know that seems like that could be a Mortal Kombat joke just in itself.
Yeah, and just the way that you just mop the floor with him, because he's not. I don't know, man. I mean, of course, I'm not a professional when it comes to these Mortal Kombat games. I'm not the guy who's going to remember all the combos. I am doing the best I can with my jumping attacks, just, you know, basically jumping up and kicking them in the head, and then seeing where I can go with that. But, you know, the fact that I was able to just, like, wipe the floor with that dude, I'm like, poor Shao.
Yeah, he's just living the low life now. You know, he's not all super enhanced with his, like, you know, cheat moves in the sense in the olden days.
And it's funny because, you know, like, you got Liu Kang who decided to rewrite the universe, and, you know, like, one of my problems with that was, like, why even put these people back into existence, dude? You know, like, what are you doing? You're asking for trouble. And you know, but he's like, yeah, you know what? Shao Kahn was kind of a douche. I'm gonna go ahead and just, you know, take away some of that strength here, and there you go. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
No, it is kind of funny. Just they do that too, because he always was the big bad guy of the old games and so on like that. You know, but yeah, no, I'm still always interested in where these Mortal Kombats are going. They're still always, as I said, I still enjoyed 1. You know, I had a good old time with that. I still need to continue that DLC. I got that, but I've yet.
Raiden's actually my favorite character to play in 1.
Oh yeah.
Interestingly enough, because I don't really care about Raiden in 9, 10, or 11. But in 1, I really enjoyed playing as Raiden. I think he might be my favorite one.
Raiden or Rain?
Raiden.
Oh, Raiden. Okay.
Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah. Well, I always liked Raiden quite a bit, and I will say, like, I like him. He's probably doesn't play the greatest, but I still always think that I still can have fun with it. I liked some of the moves he's got and everything like that too.
Yeah,
you know, there's that part towards the end, like because Raiden's literally the toughest part I think of Mortal Kombat 9, because you got you got the battle of Scorpion, and Scorpion's just like amped up first. You know,
yeah.
So you got to kind of take him out there, and Raiden's a little bit slow, so Scorpion kind of definitely has a little bit of advantage there. And then they do the thing where it's like, okay, now you're gonna do a 3-on-1 match, you know, twice in a row.
Yeah, I forgot about that, and yeah, I was like, dude, I can't. The first one that you do that's 3 people, I was like, thank God that's done, you know. And then you talk to Quan Chi for a minute, and then you do it again. I'm like, oh, come on. And then when they show the next 3, I'm like, but then you teleport and you don't have to do that. And I'm like, oh, thank God.
Yeah.
But then of course, then you have to fight Shao Kahn. So it's like,
so I don't know what's worse. It's, Shao Kahn are fighting 3 more guys.
And of course, I love how the Elder Gods, you know, they're all mad at him now, and with their stupid rules, and they finally come down and power up his Raiden's amulet or whatever, and it doesn't mean shit. He's just like, ha, yeah, right, whatever, dude. You guys kill me.
Yeah, just gets rid of Shao Kahn for the next one. That's all it does. Yeah, I know. It's like, I like it. It's like, yeah, hey, Shao, you broke the rules and everything like that. It's just like, well, God, that didn't do anything.
It's kind of funny. It's just like most modern governments.
Yeah, you know, just bounce right off the chest. You know,
like, dude, we should do something about this. This is going to be bad. And they're like, no, we haven't. That red line hasn't crossed yet, but let us know once it does.
Yeah, it's got a lot of bend in that red line too, so don't worry about it. It's like rubber band practically.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, Mortal Kombat, playing through this one again, it's fun. Too bad you can't. It's not easy to get. You have to literally go out and get a physical copy. You can't just buy it on Series X, which I always think that's kind of strange. It's like, hey, if you got a disc, you can play it, but God forbid anybody makes any money off of it at the moment.
Yeah. So is the way of life, I guess.
There's a lot of those, like, kind of like, I always kind of call them like they're secret hidden Xbox games, like, you know, like
be in fighting games.
Yeah, like but it's like Monster Rancher style. Like if you have the disc, you can unlock the game.
I was just talking to my buddy about Monster Rancher the other night. I remember popping in. I think it might have been the original Monster Rancher, and I put in the Offspring by Smash, and the monster I got was a brick wall.
that was so fun. It's like you'd go through like everybody's CDs and you'd see
I think
what
I
you
said
pull
The
up.
Offspring by Smash.
You did.
I meant was Smash.
By the Offspring.
But yeah.
It's just like the dyslexic Offspring.
Yeah. But yeah, no, that was a super interesting idea. Obviously, an idea that really wouldn't bode well anymore. But, popping out your disc to put in a music disc, and here you go. You got a cool monster, or you have a wall.
Yeah,
But,
I know that they put a Monster Rancher 1 and 2 collection out like in like the last year, and I was really curious on how that CD system
exactly.
works.
What are you supposed to do with that?
You probably just have some weird like random disc CDs you just put in because I think that's how that game was. I think there was probably like 70 CDs out there that actually like legitimately you could put in and they actually tied to it, and then the rest of them were just random. So it made you feel like you got something cool because you put in, a Bruce Springsteen CD, but really probably, it just was a random draw. But yeah, no, having good times with Mortal Kombat. We'll have to do some more Mortal Kombat podcasting later, whether we do some of those movies or those animated ones that you haven't seen those. I said they're really good.
No, yeah. I got to
one
watch
through all 4 of them. Like,
I'm just going to rewatch the first one because it's been a while anyway. But
yeah, I could totally do that myself too. But like, yeah, they're really fun the whole way through. And I think you can watch them all on HBO Max nowadays or whatever the heck.
Yeah.
I own them. I bought them all on Blu-ray when they came out, but yeah, super good. Like that's almost one of the best ways to experience Mortal Kombat, and each one kind of has its own little thing. I think, first one's that Scorpion one. Then there's like a Liu Kang one. I know the last one was a Johnny Cage one, and I can't remember what the heck the third one was, but it's been a moment. But yeah, cool stuff. Yeah, something.
Mocap's history.
Yeah, it's the Tanya and Tremor movie,
Meat.
But yeah, meat. but beyond that, good times to be had in Mortal Kombat. Till then, you can always check out all the good Old Man Orange podcast, comics, and all that other fun stuff. I'll put the little link tree description down there. It takes you all the websites, whether that be X, YouTube, and so on like that. But till then, I'm Spencer Scott Holmes.
I'm Dave Candido.
And we'll see you some other time.